Hi, it's Randy. How are you guys doing? I wanted to make a video about something that's been bothering me for a super long time, and I really haven't talked about it. And that is about how men choose partners, and in their choosing, they do not care. They absolutely do not give a shit about whether or not the woman has a career, has an education, or has any wage earning ability or potential. So they constantly drill this into our head in YouTube videos, all over the place. They keep telling us women that they don't care about our education or whether we have a good job or whether we make any money, because that's just not anything that concerns them. In fact, they probably rather keep us barefoot and pregnant or spending our time doting on them, cleaning the house, and doing things for them and taking care of the children. Okay, that's fine when you're young. But then when that happens, when they go ahead and have a woman that is at home taking care of their kids and doesn't have an education, doesn't have any wage earning ability, what they're not thinking about is what's going to happen when those kids grow up and go to college. Well, first of all, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have a midlife crisis. And when you have a midlife crisis, you're going to act out. And if you act out bad enough in your relationship, you're going to cheat. And when you cheat, your wife is going to divorce you. And when she divorces you, she's going to get half of all the assets. And then you're going to complain. Why? Because you're going to say, I made all that money. She didn't make that money. She doesn't deserve it. Well, the current laws say that she does. If you're married for 10 years or more, at least in my state, the woman is going to get half of what you have, whether or not you were both earning money or whether you were the only one earning money. Therefore, if you think about it, it would have done you much better if you had married someone who had an education, who also made money, and who was able to pull her own weight financially in the relationship. Because then when you cheated on her, then she asked for the divorce. When you split the money, there'd be a lot more there to split. Now, wouldn't there? So after that, let's say you're the man, you get burned supposedly in your divorce because you thought that this marriage was going to last forever, but you didn't remember that you were probably going to get ants in your pants and go crazy when you hit your 40s, and you were going to start cheating on her. And then you didn't realize that when you cheated on her, she was going to leave you, and then you were going to lose half of your assets. Okay, you're bad. So anyway, let's move on. It's after the divorce now. You'd think you would have learned your lesson, but no, you don't, because you continue to have the same mentality that you had originally. You still choose women to date, to live with, and to possibly marry that don't have an education, do not have a job, do not have a career, and don't have any wage earning potential. So you do the same thing again. And what happens? Well, I have an example that I just found out from one man. He's 52. He got a divorce from his wife, not because of cheating. Apparently, she was cheating on him. Okay, that was unexpected, but it does happen. Unfortunate for him. He did have to split all of his assets, and he's now 52, and he got into a relationship when he was about 48 with another woman, his own age, but she didn't earn any money, and neither of them have kids together. So she didn't have anywhere to live. This is common when men get together with women, and also the other way around, where one of the people has kind of an unstable living situation. This matters because if one of the parties has an unstable living situation, that party is more likely to, I don't know, pretend to be in love with you because they also need you, because they need your resources. And it can go both ways. It can be the man that has an unstable living situation, and he's more likely to move in with that woman who has the stable living situation. The woman thinks they're in love, and there's underlying motives for that person who has the unstable living situation. They tend to like the person or love the person more because of the resources that that person can provide. And you're not really sure if it's really you they love or it's that they need to move into your house. And they can take you along with that. So this man let a woman move into his house, same age, and they might have been going to get married, but they dated for 3 years and lived together. The woman didn't have a good job, and he was getting tired of it. He wondered, why am I going to work every day and she doesn't really do anything? She could contribute to this relationship financially, and she'd probably be happier. She'd be having something to do. So I'm going to send her to school. So he sends the woman to school and to get an education and a career, and she gets a job. And when she gets the job, she just decides she doesn't really like working, and she really never wanted to go to college, and he had been pushing her too hard and expecting too much of her to pull her weight in the relationship financially. So she broke up and moved out, apparently. And so now he has finally learned his lesson. He was burned once, supposedly, in his marriage, burned twice by the next woman. He didn't care whether or not she had an education or was self-sufficient and could support herself without him, which she could not. Went ahead and moved her in anyway, and still is in the same place that he was 5 years ago when he got a divorce. Has no relationship and basically invested money in a losing horse. So now I met with this man, and he told me he has now finally learned his lesson. He is now looking for a partner who can pull her own weight. Not somebody who's going to, pay for him, but just somebody who he isn't going to have to consider as a dependent. He's already got dependents. He's still got his children, who they're adults. He's going to have grandchildren on the way, kids in college, and he gave up half to his first wife, invested in this other woman to go to college with no return. And so he's now thinking, hey, maybe career and education for the next woman I meet because I want a partner. Hey, maybe that does matter. So I would say that it mattered the entire time, except now the guy's finally getting wise, and I applaud him. Any man who realizes that 2 incomes are better than 1, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, is, ahead of the game. Any man who doesn't choose a partner solely just on, I guess, animalistic whatever, and, women that can support themselves are plenty sexy, plenty appealing, and there's plenty of them out there, that you shouldn't have to worry that, having that kind of standard or wanting somebody who's both, romantically appealing and can also pull her own weight, that's not real hard to find. In fact, many, many women these days at all ages are educated and can pull their own weight in a relationship financially and can support themselves. But it's never been an issue before. In fact, they drill it into our heads that that doesn't matter, almost trying to discourage women from trying to be self-sufficient. Anyway, let me take a breath here. So this man learned his lesson. Now this brings me to my next point. This same woman that he was seeing for 3 years asked him if he was going to make her his beneficiary on all of his accounts when he died, if they were to get married. And he told her no, he was not, because his children were going to get his money. And that's the absolute correct way of thinking about this, in my opinion. She didn't like that. She could not figure out why she wouldn't be his beneficiary. Well, I'll tell you why. Because men make this mistake over and over and over, and it's very harmful to their adult children and grandchildren. They completely disinherit their entire lineage and leave them out in the cold by making their latest wife their beneficiary. What is this about? That is less than, that's worse than not caring about whether or not your so-called partner can actually be a good financial partner that's more equal. You don't have to make the same amount of money, but you both have to make some money in order for there to be a power balance in the relationship. Now, if you want all the power, then you're going to have to sacrifice all the money, and that's just the way it goes. Now, what I have a problem with is all the men who continue to get married over and over and over, or live with someone and they change their beneficiaries with every new relationship. So it happened to my friend. Her dad did it. He died penniless and left nothing to his children and grandchildren, but some woman who had swooped in right at the end of his life was the beneficiary. She ended up getting the money that he had. In fact, he did a reverse mortgage on his house so he could buy her anything she wanted at the mall. He did that for a few years, and pretty much he was wiped out. Pretty much wiped clean. And it is so unfair. It's such a slap in the face to the children. And when I say children, yes, they're adults, but they're young adults. They might be in their 20s, 30s, even 40s. Hell, but they need the money, and they deserve the money because they are your flesh and blood. Your third wife, fourth wife, fifth wife does not deserve to be your beneficiary. That money goes to your kids. Yes, you didn't pick your wife based on her wage earning ability, but that was your foolishness. If you chose someone who was flat broke, and if you went out of her life and died, she'd again be flat broke, wouldn't be able to take care of herself. Whose problem is that? That was yours. Does that mean that she becomes another dependent? I mean, at best, if you have 4 kids, then split it 5 ways. Give your wife 1/5. But why should your kids suffer for your stupid mistakes? Why should your kids suffer for your poor choices? For you choosing completely financially dependent women? And I'm not talking about a woman who's like taken care of you and wiped your ass for the last 15 years of your old ass's life, and you're 75 now. She's been with you since you were 55, say, and she has totally been by your side taking care of you, and she's also 75. I mean, sure, you should leave her something, but I still don't think you should leave your kids completely out in the lurch, because she's going to die pretty soon too. And who's she going to leave the rest of it to? Is she going to leave it to your kids? No, she'll leave it to hers. This is just common sense, guys. But somehow, so many men do not do this, and they get caught up in this repetitive mistake-making game of relationships, and then they brag about how they don't care about how much the woman makes or if she has a job. Well, that's just pure stupidity. I mean, to run a household, to enjoy yourself, wouldn't you rather have double the income? I mean, why would you not care? I mean, why would you even say that? I don't get it. Men, you have had a history of being extremely foolish and bragging about how you don't care how much your partner makes, and that is just ridiculous. And the only people who end up suffering in it is you and your own kids. Now, the only people who should be your beneficiary is your kids, your grandkids, or your the mother of your kids. Not some random woman who comes in at the end of your life and, swoops in and takes everything. That's completely unfair, and it's wrong. Thank you. Have a great day.